Alright, let me just turn off a couple of the things I would have on for streaming here. I guess you don't really need the camera either, but I don't know, gives a little bit of context, a little bit of personality. So, my friend Nathan, I'm going to go ahead and show you kind of a quick work through of how I would do this. To anyone else watching the video right now, for some context, so what we're doing is a buddy of mine who is also a rapper, has sent some stems over, which is a very simple setup. It's just a beat, a main vocal track, some emphasis vocals, and some ad-libs. So emphasis being like some doubles. I'm going to basically run through how I would do a very quick kind of mix on this. I have studio monitors, so speakers, and also these headphones. I'm starting out on the headphones just to make sure there's no echo that comes from the monitors back into the microphone. I don't want that to kind of make it harder for people to hear what's happening if when I change something. Yeah, I don't want it to sound too washed out or anything like that. So we'll start on the headphones, but I'm going to check the mix on the studio monitors later on. First things first here, we've got a master, basically backup. So this is everything. You suppose that you're more or less that's all the dry stems put together. So that I've just muted for now. We don't really need to worry about it. We've got our instrumental up here. I'm going to go ahead and make a folder. So I'm working in Reaper. So I'll make a Vox main folder. And which might be a little confusing because I called that main Vox, but that's the lead vocal. Maybe that's what we should call this. Lead Vox. There we go. And we'll put all our vocals in there just in case there's some things where we want to apply changes to all of the vocals and not have to do it track by track by track. The first thing I would probably do, I will note as well, I will try and make this tutorial only use free plugins or plugins that are so generic, like a very, very simple compressor, that it's not, you don't have to worry about, going out and buying a very, certain plugin. There are some exceptions, but that I might use on some other things. So I'm just reading through actually for some alternatives. But anyways, we'll go through this today, but I'll try and use free plugins so that it's easy, and I'll talk about where I got them from as well. So first things, let's sorry to ramble on here. Let's go ahead and solo out your lead vocal track. So this is the main rap.
Low key. You suppose.
And I know we talked earlier, so there's a lot of reverb on, some room noise on this, but it is what it is. If you got, sometimes you don't have the perfect space to record in, and it's good to, to be able to work with that as well. So what I'm going to do, first of all, here is, first of all, I'm going to take this off so I can hear a little better. And let's see. So I'm going to loop this lead vocal and have it just soloed out.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you.
My first step is going to be to take out frequencies that I don't like in the voice. I'm going to use M Equalizer. This is available free from Melda Production's website. So if you Google M Equalizer, you can get this completely free. It's really capable. The first thing I'm going to do is, with this first band right here, roll off some real low end, down here like 100 and below. Take some of that out of the voice. And also up at the high end. I don't want, now getting really high up, you're not going to have much from that. But I can find sometimes if you even go like this or this, you'll actually start to hear an effect, and it might not be that nice. So I don't go too harsh with the reducing on the high end, at least not in the beginning. We can sculpt that later. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to play your recording.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope,
We'll go through like that. And I'm actually going to, sorry, I'm moving this across the screen here so I can monitor the levels and stuff on the other side. And then I apologize. I'm kind of, I'm exhausted and I'm a night owl. So even though it's morning, I'm kind of on the morning. Even though it's morning, I'm kind of on the tail end of my waking hours. So I've just showered and looking kind of crazy. But, so what I'm going to do is while I'm listening to your voice, I'm going to take some bands in it and I'm going to make them really narrow. The Q right here, which is the Q is referring to the width of the band. If it's really narrow like this or wide like this, I'm going to take this and I'm going to make one quite narrow. And I'm going to start exaggerating tones in your voice and listening for things that really jump out at me as problematic. Now, if you exaggerate to the fullest, to 20 decibels or whatever, you're going to have sounds you don't like all over the place. So I start high up and then I kind of reduce them a little bit. I still see if I'm hearing that rumble or that twinge that's hitting my ear wrong. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and do that right now, okay?
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, when I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Your intention to...
So between like 370 something, 390, I'm seeing, let's go around with 370 where I first heard it. I'm hearing some kind of warble that I don't really like when I exaggerate that one. So I'm going to make a little dip there. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with another one now, and we'll look for another place.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, when I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, let me see, your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any higher than 23, so you better be ready whenever stepping to me, because I'm on a level better than you'd ever believe. Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're...
I'm going to keep doing that.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, when I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's...
And, of course, if you have more, I haven't made it all the way up here, and so I'm like, okay, maybe there's another band I want to take out. Maybe somewhere up in this 5 to 10K range, some S sounds, we can make a little notch there for those. You can always just add another copy of the same plugin immediately after, and work where you left off. The last one we made a reduction here was around 4K. So right here, I'll start right after that.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, when I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, let me see, your pen is...
Alright, so, now what I would do is, and so if you look, we did that on the main vocal folder. For the most part, you're putting on your voice is mostly the same throughout, so we can just go ahead and use the we can go ahead and use put this on the lead vocal, on the main vocal folder with everything in it, because we're affecting the same voice. Now, however, we're getting where we're gonna go track by track. So that subtractive EQ I'm doing on all the vocals, But the next thing in line after subtractive EQ I would do is a compressor. You can do compressor on all the vocals, and with a simple track like this, it would probably still work okay. In fact, let's see what we got going here.
Call your girl, she say, phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy.
We could do it with the ad-libs maybe. The problem with compressing your emphasis vocals, your doubles, along with your main vocal is that obviously the compressor squashing down those loud parts is taking everything together. So if you compress them all at once, sometimes your lead vocal can actually get lost or become more close and exactly the same in volume, not be able to be distinguished as well from your doubles if you're using a compressor on all the vocals at once. So you can see I've put ad-libs in a folder with the lead vox because most of the time these ad-libs are coming in. It's not directly when you're it's not basically like this where you're already saying the same thing in your main vocal. So it's not a big deal if they get compressed together, but I'm leaving the doubles on their own to deal with later. Anyways, let's go to lead vox. You can work with a compressor here. Any old compressor will do. I'm working with this one is the Red 3 compressor. It was free if you buy like if you have a Focusrite interface like a Scarlett 2i2, 2i4, etc. Scarlett Solo. You will have gotten, basically you'll get this for free, but it's pretty simple. You can use any compressor, and I'll go through the actual settings I'm using as well so that it's easy to follow later on.
Call your girl, she say, phone, who dis? Let me.
And I should note, I'm going to be soloing out the vocal a lot, then listening to it over the beat to make sure it's still sounding good. But I find it easier, especially starting out, to hear what the different things are doing to your voice if you solo your vocal. I know that a lot of times you'll watch things that say that's not recommended because in the end this is going to go over the music. But we're still going to take that into consideration later on. It's just not a huge deal to worry about it right now. So this first compressor we do on the lead vocal, I actually want it to be pretty harsh. So I'm bringing the ratio up kind of high. I'm having a fast attack, also a fast release. The ratio, depending on what you know about compressors, the ratio is how much compression to the dry or original signal is introduced. So when the compressor hears, hey, there's the audio peak, I need to clamp down on it, this is how much it's clamping down on it. The attack is how quickly it kicks in. So as soon as that peak comes in, does it crunch down on it? It can sound a little less natural, but it also tames the sound quicker. And release is just the opposite. Once it's compressed something, does it keep it compressed for a second or two, or does it and let back up slowly, or does it let back up pretty much as soon as it doesn't hear something getting loud again? And threshold we have here is how loud the sound has to pass for the compressor to detect it and say, okay, this is something we want to kick down a little bit. So I actually bring this down a little bit. You see I've got it 12, 13, something like there. Ratio, I've got around 4 here. Fast attack, fast release. Makeup gain you can use, but I wouldn't worry too much about it at this point. So let's actually not have any makeup gain. Let's listen to this, see how it sounds.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low-key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. Get off, man. Spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a...
You can see right here if your compressor has a gain reduction meter, which is showing you how much by how much something's being compressed when the compressor kicks in. I was told a rule of thumb to not go much past if you don't want your vocals to not sound or to start sounding kind of obvious that you've compressed them or overly compressed or a little less natural, is to try to stay, between 3 and 4 decibels of compression at most. You can see this kicks 5 and a little over it sometimes. I don't find that to really be a problem in my songs. You can listen for yourself. I wouldn't worry about that too much. Just practice with the compressor and hear it by ear. If you want to hear, what it sounds like when it's too much, we can do like this. So let's just put another one on here and just go crazy with it.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. Get off, man. Spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me.
It can be a little bit hard to hear at first, but you almost can get like a pulsating sound. That's a little bit irritating or obvious as you go on. It doesn't sound great. So we go with a little lighter touch right now. Let's hear where we're at. Oops, with the music.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be.
You can see we're getting just about the right amount of compression there. It sounds a little quiet. The instrumental obviously sounds a little bit loud. Let's see where that's peaking right now, actually, the beat.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low.
It is pretty loud, though. I should have mentioned that I would usually turn this down so our beat is peaking a few decibels lower than that. So our beat is peaking between -10 and -7, and our vocals between -8 and -6 when we're working with them, but that's okay.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes are.
But don't worry if the vocals sound a little bit low right now. We haven't added any makeup gain, and we also, in our next step, are going to get a little volume out of certain frequencies. So don't worry if the voice doesn't sound that forward and present just yet. Let's go ahead and go. Again, we're going to continue working on, for now, just the, I'm going to continue working on just this lead vocals here with the ad-libs included as well. Basically everything but the doubles. Next thing we're going to do is add in some EQ. Now, my favorite plugin for really simple EQ adjustments is called SciQ. It's very simple. It just has a few knobs. Adjust the high-end frequency, the low end, and then you can choose where you want the mid to be focused. So, 5.6 kilohertz, 1.5, etc.
Low key.
If we listen to your voice soloed out,
low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. Get off, man. Spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded.
So, I usually find this Bus Magic one that cuts around 700 and 700 hertz and boosts the high and the low end to sound decent on my voice, but everyone's voice is different. And we'll get to this in a second because this isn't a free plugin, but I'm just kind of trying to make a point here. What I might listen to is there a frequency we can cut out a little bit that cuts down on the reverb or echo that come from your room?
Key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. Get off, man. Spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, no phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I be spitting them cleverly.
Maybe in here we're getting a little bit of that sound, 1.5K, something like that. I was just kind of using this to kind of see where I was hearing issues, but we're going to not use this since I said we'd use a free one. But what we'll do is basically you do your subtractive EQ. You do your first compressor that's a little bit lighter touch. You're not doing a it is a heavier touch on the amount of compression and the attack and release, but you're not re-adding any gain into your voice just yet. So let's actually go ahead and just work with the equalizer we used before, okay?
Low key. You suppose that...
And we could do some things like a little dip in 1.5 area, since we heard that was where some echo was coming in.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key.
I'd say a high-end boost is not a bad idea. Usually getting a little bit of punch through, it can help to boost this high end.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low-key, your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. Get off, I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, no phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I be spitting them clever.
You know, down around the low mids, we could add a little bit in there if we really wanted to give it a little more presence like that.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low-key, your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. Get off, I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included.
So basically, even though it's called additive EQ, you can see we're subtracting some things. What you're basically doing in this phase is, this is more stylistic. So our first EQ we did on all the vocals was, okay, let's, cut out things that decidedly sound like shit, and we're kind of just trying to pare things down. This is more stylistic, adding and carving away in different places.
Low key. You've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever
to get a tone you like in your voice. Let's hear it over the music.
I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, no phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any...
Alright, let's go ahead and think about now something else we could do with, say, the beat. Well, let's do a compressor one more time here. So once you get, and again, I'm gonna do this other compressor on the on your voice, on your lead vocal track. So once you get that kind of stylistic EQ sorted out, go ahead now and add another compressor. It can be the same plugin you used before. And this one, we're going with a little bit of a lighter touch. We just want to kind of tame down any new sounds we've exaggerated with our frequency editing.
I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks.
And in this case, I'll give it a little makeup gain afterwards.
You suppose that you're dope, but you're low-key, your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any higher than 23, so you better be ready whenever stepping to me, because I'm on a level better than you'd ever believe. Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key, your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, when I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included.
So a little hard to get, I mean, the reverb, we have to live with after the fact, but that's okay.
You suppose that you're dope, but you're low-key, your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, When I'm done, you suppose that you're done. It's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, no phone, who dis? Let me see, your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I'm...
By the way, one thing I would recommend just for working with other people, if you're sending, or I shouldn't say everyone will want this, but when you're sending stems, if there is no difference between the left and right channels, like on these ones, on your main voice, I would just send them in mono. That's how they're going to end up being worked with anyways, if there aren't actually any difference in the left and right ear. And if there were differences, then a mix engineer would probably want them on separate tracks. So just something to think about. There's no reason really for me to have different left and right channels for these recordings that are the same thing here. So anyways, we get that going on. Now, one thing we can do is we can take, so this is there's a couple ways to do this, okay? No, I'm gonna get to that in a second. One thing you can do to thicken up your vocal, this could help when working with a vocal like this where, you know, it was a little bit like echoey. So we want to make them sound a little less thin. We can go, you can use pitch shifting, or if in your DAW, if you can just go to the item properties and shift down. What I'm doing is I've duplicated your lead vocals and I'm shifting them down half a semitone.
Best rapper with that name trying to...
So it's going to get really robotic, but then moving this way down in volume.
Best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know.
So I'm bringing it down so it just isn't quite that noticeable. But it can give, because you don't want that heavy robotic effect. But that can help a little bit sometimes as well to thicken up vocals.
You'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th.
And you can, you know, that's half a semitone shift down. You can experiment with doing it more or less, you know, whatever sounds good to you. What I'm going to do now is whatever we did. So this is an interesting step. What we're going to do next is actually adjust the beat to work better with your vocal. And there are a couple ways to do it. There's an easy way and a little bit more advanced way, and I'll show you both of them. Starting out, it might be easier to do the easier way, but they both sometimes sound better depending on the track. So I'm going to show you that now. So we're going to our vocal, and we're going to actually copy selected FX, okay? So I'm copying the equalizer we put on our voice, and I'm going to paste it on the beat now. So I'm pasting that in. And then what I'm basically going to do is everything we did on our voice, I'm going to do opposite, and albeit with a little bit lighter touch. But if I boosted something in the vocal, I'm going to cut it in the beat. If I cut something in the vocal, I might boost it slightly in the beat. Now the cutting away from the beat in the parts more present in the vocal is the most important part. But what we're trying to do is create a little pocket for our vocal to sit on.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes, so let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper.
And you'll notice that your voice instantly sounds louder without actually bringing up the gain, simply because we're making room for the frequencies that are more prominent in it. So this is the easier way, a little bit static, just like that.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes, so let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention.
Alright. So that's one way to do it. It doesn't sound bad at all, and this might actually be how we end up going with it in the mix. But I want to show you a more advanced way, and it also lets me show you a plugin that I think is one of the best things someone can grab for themselves. As far as it's completely free and it's fantastic, has a ton of purposes. So the first thing we're gonna do, you're gonna do this differently in different DAWs, however your DAW is. What I'm actually going to do is just have a send from my lead vocal here. So I'm sending my lead vocal, add new send, to the beat, okay? Now don't worry, I apologize. Don't worry too much about this part of it. This depends what DAW you're using. If you were using Reaper, I'm sending it to the beat, and I'm sending it to new channels on the beat, so I'm giving it a channel 3 and 4, not just 1 and 2, which is the left and right of the beat. But don't worry about that too much. Now on our beat, we're going to add a plugin called TDR Nova. So you can download this for free. Download TDR Nova, Tokyo Dawn Labs, just like that. And it looks like this. And it's another multi-band equalizer, kind of like we've had before. But it can do a lot of other things as well. And what you can do when you have this plugin open is you change it to external source. So the source it's based off of is external, and it's going to draw from that input we just channeled into it. The analyzer, I'm going to change to source. The analyzer is the EQ here. So,
and I'm done. Well, you'll be roast beef.
So you can see that even though the beat's not playing, it's going to show, because it's the analyzer is showing our external source, it's showing our voice
and
here.
I'm done. Well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame.
Get off,
I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting.
Okay, so we can see right there. We can actually see from this which frequencies are most prominent in your voice right now.
And I'm done. Well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize.
We got a lot going around down here, which is understandable. We boosted that a bit, and same in the high end, which is where we were focusing on as well.
And I'm done. Well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best.
So here's what you do. What you can do with this plugin like this when you're bringing in an external source is if you turn on this threshold, what it's actually going to do, and this is, you can take a threshold, what it's actually going to do is say whenever the signal, the external signal, your voice, gets to a certain level, it will detect that your vocal is on, and it should drop down the beat a little bit, but only in those specific frequencies that you want it to. So for example, and you can change, here's your cue again, you can make it thinner or wider. But let's say, hey, down here around, 500 a little bit, we want, when it hears your voice in there, we want it to take a little bit out.
And I'm done. Well, you'll be.
You can see how much it's taking out when it hears
and
it.
I'm done. Well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of.
Alright, let's do the same thing up here. So let's take maybe a high-end one. Threshold again. Somewhere where we see a lot of your voice
and
up
I'm
here.
done. Well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame.
I'm going to leave that one a little wider, but we're going to do the same thing.
And I'm done. Well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, no phone, who dis? Let me see, your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics,
I'm still getting used to that technique that is basically side chaining your vocals to the beat, or your beat to the vocals. I'm not sure in the correct terminology there. Save early, save often. Just making sure I save there as we go through this. But the advantage of doing it that way, even though it's slightly more involved to set up, but still quick when you get used to it. And I'm still, working on which frequency is the best, how much you should do, what, how heavy-handed should you be with it. But the advantage of that method is that you're not making a static edit, so you're not making your beat sound any different or taking any vibrance out of the beat during the parts where your vocal isn't hitting a certain level. Whereas if we go with this method, these cuts and boosts are always present, right?
When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with...
So it feels like we changed something. Your advantage is the beat stays relatively the same, but with this one, it just cuts down in those areas when your voice comes in.
With that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, no phone, who dis? Let me see, your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any higher than 23, so you better be ready whenever step into me, because I'm on a level better than you'd ever believe. Low key, you suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars.
So you can experiment with moving this around to different areas, see how it sounds, etc., etc. I'm gonna go ahead and leave this one on, this little side chained one where we're cutting out in these frequencies right here. But that's up to you. I would say at first maybe get used to doing it the static way like this with M equalizer, and just getting used to, okay, how do I make that nice kind of cutout for my voice? And then once you kind of feel comfortable with that, then if you want to try, this side chaining method, you already will have an idea, because you've done it with this method, of which frequencies you're going to set these at, okay? But if you have any questions, and anyone watching this, you're of course welcome to get in touch with me. And by the time you do, I will probably have learned more and practiced more myself, and I'm happy to help you set that up and play around with it. Couple last things before we, say we're more or less done here. Let's bring back in our emphasis, our doubles, basically.
Hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening.
So you can do doubles however you want as far as in how they're mixed. I would probably apply these same effects that we put on the lead vocal, so I just copied those, paste those onto the backing vocal. If you're asking why didn't you just put everything on everything, then just remind you of what I said earlier, of where we don't want the compressor to take everything into account together. We might want the same general effects and edits made, but we want this compressor only taking into account the peaks and the doubles when it kicks in. Just like on the lead vocal, we only want that compressor to be listening to the lead vocal when it kicks in, okay? Because we had some makeup gain, those doubles are going to get a little louder, so I'll bring them down probably.
Name trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening.
The ideal way, at least I've found, to do these doubles, you can do different things you want, is to actually record 3 take. Anywhere you're going to have vocals, you're probably going to have your own voice. Anywhere you were thinking of having emphasis doubles, you are maybe going to have your voice 3 times. You have your main voice, and then 2 repeats. So you want to, get takes that are fairly close together for those repeats. You might have to slide and shift them around and make sure the timing lines up. But once you have 2 repeats, like if we pretended these were 2 different tracks, then I would pan one out to the right and one out to the left. You could go 15 to 25% each way with it for something that still is kind of tight and you hear a bit of it over the main voice. If you want them really kind of on their own and stylistic, you could go really wide out there, like 50, 60, 70+% to the side. That's really up to you. I'm going to replicate doing that right now with a plugin called Microshift, which basically kind of replicates having a double and panning them out, but it's still really, in my opinion, not as good as actually having two different unique versions when you do your doubles. But there are others, which as I was looking up beforehand, there probably are some things similar to this that you can get for free, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But remember, the reason I'm using this really is to show you what I would ideally be doing with the practical effect of just recording twice rather than having to make one recording seem like it's twice. But basically what I'm doing is it's making it split so it sounds like there's two versions, one kind of out in each ear.
Name trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. No phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen itty. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any higher than 23, so you better be ready whenever stepping to me, because I'm on a level.
This dry/wet here is essentially, you can hear what's happening when I adjust this. Essentially, this is what's happening if, like when I talked about, you can have them kind of close to the middle or out to the side. This plugin, since it's splitting and widening, if I'm having it kind of close to dry, this is more like having it, those two versions panned a little closer to the middle. If I have it closer to wet, that's like way out to the side. You'll be able to hear it.
Best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I never say no phone, who dis? Let me see. I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any higher than 23, so you better be ready when
I think somewhere kind of in the middle sounds good. So this would be like having each version panned out a medium amount.
Low key. You suppose that.
Let's listen on. I'm gonna listen on my speakers. Might not sound that different to you guys, but let's see here.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, no phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy.
That kind of new phone who dis part is a little odd. I might shift it a little different. Let's see.
Girl, she say, no phone. No phone, who dis?
So I see it's like pitch shifted a little bit or something.
No phone, who dis? No phone.
One thing you might do is, to make that a little more interesting, that new phone who dis part, is automate the panning. So
no phone, who dis?
So maybe make automating is like drawing in lines to where it kind of gradually shifts some effect, something on the track. You could maybe make it so that the new phone part is over in the left ear, and then it swaps over to the right ear for so I have this 60% left, this 60% right for the rest of the phrase.
No phone, who dis? No phone, who dis?
Let's see.
The girl, she say, no phone, who dis?
Could do, like this instead if we wanted. Have phone be over there. Oops.
The girl, she say, no phone, who dis? The girl, she say, no phone, who dis? Let the girl, she say, no phone, who dis? The girl,
or you could even make it go back and forth since we got four of them. We got like 4 words. New phone, who dis? We could go, that's over there. This one's back over to the left. I don't know, just playing around.
Say, phone, who dis?
Can I go back and forth, something like that?
Call your girl, she say, phone, who dis? Call your girl, she say, phone, who dis? Call your girl, she say, phone, who dis?
I would almost maybe make this
who dis?
Who? This is stylistically, this is up to you. Because I don't know how much you've shifted this one.
Phone, who dis?
Is to make this, to make, I don't want to split them all, is to make this who pitch shifted as well. New phone, who this, kind of like to get that back and forth. I have no idea how far up you've pitch shifted this though.
Phone, who dis? Phone, who dis?
Seems like that's not really high enough.
Phone, who dis? Say, phone, who dis? Say, phone, who dis? Let's say, phone, who dis? Let's say, phone, who dis? Let me say, phone, who dis? Let.
Close.
Say, phone, who dis? Say, phone, who dis? Let.
No, I think it's better at 4.
Say, phone, who dis?
But anyways, you can, play around with that, but shifting it back and forth. And you could do the same with if you really wanted, duplicate all of these things we've done with those doubles that are those where we pitched everything down half a semitone. But it's probably not a big deal. You don't hear, they're not super present in this because we have them, 12 decibels down.
Say, phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any higher than 23, so you better be ready whenever stepping to me, because I'm on a level better than you'd ever be.
I could almost go with a bit more boost in the high end.
Say, phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any higher than 23, so you better be ready whenever stepping to me, because I'm on a level better than you'd ever believe. Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low-key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame.
Another tip about mixing as well, take breaks. You listen to the same thing over and over again. You'll kind of wonder what's sounding good, what's not. You might make adjustments. You might be a little bit lazy, so you don't do save as a new version, and then all of a sudden later on you realize I actually liked it how I had it earlier, and you're like, oh shit, how do I get back to that? Because now I've saved it as something else, now I've saved over it. So that's, take breaks. What I would do at this point with a mix normally is basically take it
low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low-key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly.
You can, what I would do at this point with a mix is go ahead and render it, export it as, MP3 or whatever. What I like to do, I sync things to Google Drive, so as soon as you can, there's actually a little icon, I don't know if it's showing in the stream, but there's a little icon, no, it's down behind where my camera is, but it's down there, showing that it's syncing right now to a project file. Make it an MP3 on your Google Drive or whatever you use for cloud storage. That way you can quickly access it on other devices. And then you want to listen to it on a bunch of different things. So I would listen to it on phone speakers. I would listen to it on Apple EarPods. I would go listen to it on laptop speakers, your Bluetooth speaker, a TV you can play it off of, whatever you've got available, right? Different things than your studio monitor setup. And then take notes. It sounded a little washed out in the earbuds. Vocal needs to be more present or cut through more. On the Bluetooth speaker, the vocal actually jumped out a bit. So how do I balance that? Or it sounded too bassy on the Bluetooth speaker. We'll start easy where there's different issues on different things. Then come back with those notes later and take light touches to make adjustments to make it not destroy the mix you've already done, but just, half a decibel in this frequency, a decibel in this one at a time. Try and sculpt it to make it sound so that you get something that sounds better across lots of different things, lots of different speakers, and you go back and forth with that. However, the reason I'm not doing that right now and coming back, doing and then cutting away and coming back, is one thing you should do is take a break in between when you do that. By their nature, mixing headphones and mixing monitors they should be quite clear, and they should be pretty neutral, but they should be pretty good quality. So if you go listen to this song on, say, your Apple EarPods right after you listen on your studio monitors, it might sound kind of washed out and dull, whereas if you listen to, your ears have been hearing for the last hour or two while you've been mixing it on these nice speakers or these nice headphones, and as soon as you go to listen on something that's not as good, that actually might have sounded fine if you came back, an hour or two later, not listening to nice stuff on nice speakers and listen to it on there. You might be like, oh, great, and you might compare it to other songs in there, and it actually might sound pretty good. So I would take a break between your listening tests and your, export. But last things you can do when you come back to it, it's never a bad idea to give a little boost in loudness. Don't need to get it like right up to the cusp of clipping. That's, it's not a big deal. But let's say we're about here.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you.
If you want a free, just ignore this. This is just sending the audio signal from the DAW through to the recording software for the video so that you hear all the music and stuff clearly. So that's nothing you need to have on there. Some free plugins, though, you can do for very quick mastering. This is limiter number 6. It actually has some presets for mastering. I'm just getting started with mastering, really like getting to know more about it and do it well. But I was going to put this in the video because I do this for like quick demos. I really suggest this is a completely free, it's called limiter number 6. You can Google it and find that. Completely free plugin. And it has a lot of mastering presets for overall tracks to bring up the volume, to bring everything together, glue a track together a little bit. So if you hear, the volume will actually get quite a bit louder if I start using these presets.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no, please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any higher than 23, so you better be ready whenever stepping to me, because I'm on a level better than you'd ever believe. Bitch, please. I'd like to see you top that. Be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any higher than 23, so you better be ready whenever stepping to me, because I'm on a level better than you'd ever believe. Bitch, please. I'd like to see you top that.
It's a bit loud there.
Bitch please. Bitch please. Believe. Bitch please. Like to see you top that.
I was just taking that down a little bit, but you can kind of play around with those types of things. I might take something that's a little less harsh.
Believe. Know when I'm hitting you with these bars. Top that. You say phone. Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention.
Okay. Last thing you can add. Oh, sorry. It might not have come through because it was before the thing that was passing it through.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes.
So do a little bit of mastering, compressing on that. The last thing you can do if you want is do some overall EQ on the track. Not required. Again, also after these steps, mastering steps, I would encourage you to go listen on a lot of different speaker setups. But this is a, EQ on these are both on the master track. This is also free. It's by Voxengo. Voxengo. I don't know. But it's called Marvel GEQ. It's like Marvel Global EQ. And this is adjusting EQ in all of your tracks, so it's including everything together.
Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any higher than 23, so you better be ready whenever stepping to me, because I'm on a level better than you'd ever believe. Bitch please. Like to see you top that. Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any higher than 23, so you better be ready whenever stepping to me, because I'm on a level better than you'd ever believe. Bitch please. Like to see you top that. Low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, phone, who's this? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap's poison, I must be the remedy. When I do lyrics, I'll be spitting them cleverly. Your IQ isn't any higher than 23, so you better be ready whenever stepping to me, because I'm on a level better than low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no please. When I'm done, well, you'll be roast beef. You're like the 10th best rapper with that name, trying to capitalize off the back of rappers that have fame. I spend a minute listening to your tracks. Well, that's a minute of my life that I'm never getting back. Fuck that. Your intention to battle me is stupid. I've never seen a rapper acting so deluded. Whatever the setup, I know you'll never be included. When you call your girl, she say, phone, who dis? Let me see. Your pen is an enemy. If your rap low key. You suppose that you're dope, but you're low key. Your jokes will let me throw you a rope. I know when I'm hitting you with these bars, you're like, no please. When
Alright. That sounds decent to me. let's go ahead and call that good there. I'm gonna basically upload this. Well, obviously you're watching this video on YouTube, but I'll upload this song to SoundCloud and include that link in the description. So if you're watching this video right now and you want to hear, you can listen. Link down below to like how it turned out, more or less. Only disclaimer I would say is, again, this isn't with those kind of the step of taking a couple of those extra listening tests of going, okay, I took a break, I went and listened to it on this other system, I made a note that this needs to cut through more, so maybe I need to go back to the vocal and boost this frequency, or maybe the vocal is actually too loud on all the other systems I listened to, so I could turn it down a little bit overall. Or I could go, maybe to our beat here, and I could not be as heavy-handed with how much I reduce out of the beat when the vocal comes in, stuff like that. That's all I would say. Otherwise, hopefully this helped, and enjoy. See you around.